Good morning. My name is Debbie Oscarson. I'm a new member of the executive team here at ORUUC. I would like to first welcome you and offer you a virtual hug. So hug yourselves this morning, as most of us are missing those since we're attending virtually. You're welcome here, and especially to those of you here for the first time or back for the first time in a long time. I would like to ask you to consider doing 3 things today. First, if you're on Facebook, join the ORUUC Facebook group where you'll find this community in conversation and action throughout the week, from recordings of readings of children's books to items for sale or services offered or needed. Second, please enter your contact information in the link you'll find in the chat box. This will allow you to receive church communications and invitations for getting involved. Third, after the service ends today, please stay around in the Zoom room for a session of inquirers, which is our gathering space for newcomers. For almost 15 years, every Sunday, our community has sent half of the undesignated funds in the offering out the door to support a mission we believe in. For the month of August, our Split the Plate recipient is the Blossom Center for Childhood Excellence. The Blossom Center locally offers parents daycare, which includes academic enrichment, nutritional meals, an edible garden, and extracurricular activities 7 days a week. Last of all, every month, our executive team selects a church member to celebrate as Volunteer of the Month. This month, the executive team chose to honor not 1, but 2. The first being Dot Jones. For over 2 years, Dot has served on the front lines of Agape House of Oak Ridge, working with guest families as they transition from homelessness to permanent housing. That can mean encouragement. It can mean setting boundaries. Most importantly, it means believing in their success against the odds. Dot has done all of these in relationship to these Agape House families, so we're glad to celebrate her in this way. The second Volunteer of the Month is Brandon White. This spring, our current treasurer cycled out of the role when she moved out of town, and Brandon stepped into the role. Throughout the spring and into the summer, he has been a tireless advocate of clean, reliable accounting and a mission-directed budget, even in a leaner year. Brandon's commitment to making our money count and the time he's put into that work right out of the gate is why the executive team recognizes him also as a Volunteer of the Month. Since the free parking space isn't a big deal prize during COVID, we didn't have to work out the logistics of splitting it between Dot and Brandon. Dot and Brandon instead will both receive a homemade bouquet of flowers delivered to their home. In these flowers, we hope you too receive the love and appreciation of our entire congregation. Again, thank you both.
All things are beautiful, not by a standard of pretty as seen by our eyes, but as an essence of self-worth that is sensed by the Spirit. This is the root and heart of compassion and justice. Beauty is the threshold to divine goodness and a door into radical compassion. In contemplation, we train our spirits to see this truth. For the next 6 weeks, we will contemplate. We will deepen our spiritual capacities so that we might live as beloveds of life who extend goodness in this world.
For the beauty of the earth, for the glory of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. God of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
Spirit of love, in these precarious times when so much that's familiar in ordinary life has been changed, and we may be exhausted by countless decisions uncertainly made, and when injustice and suffering are laid bare before us and also within our own lives, we nevertheless give thanks for those things that endure: community, compassion, and beauty. Nourished by these, let us turn this week again to serve this world. Shalom, blessed be, and amen.
I invite you to join in our opening hymn with our virtual choir, For the Beauty of the Earth.
For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from above over and around
As we move now into our ritual time of altar building, there are 3 customary ways of doing things that we will do today, and also one special one. So our customary ways, as you see on the slide, light a candle and hold it up to your camera for others to see. We so need to see each other in these times. Or share a word in the chat box, a prayer, a hope, a concern, a gratitude. And if you would like something in the spoken prayer which will follow this, email that prayer request to oruuc.community.prayers@gmail.com. But in addition, as we begin this series, Beguiled by Beauty, we're going to really be working on being open-eyed and noticing around us. What do we see? What do we sense? So I invite you now to just look around where you are and find something to notice. Maybe it's something you rarely see, or maybe it's something you see all the time, but now you can see it in more detail or more deeply. Or you might just let your gaze wander and really notice your surroundings and give thanks for what you see and where you are. It is in looking around, whether with our eyes or other senses, that we notice beauty in this world and in the people we encounter. It is in looking around also that we notice the suffering, and we are moved to compassion. Compassion in our prayers, in our words, and in our deeds. Let us now take stock and notice and build community together.
When you're tired and feel you can't get through, uncertainty comes over you, just look around. When your problems seem too much to bear, unsure if there's someone who cares, just look around. Whether stranger, neighbor, family, or friend, on each other in tough times we can depend. Look around, kindness, love is ours to share. We can see it everywhere, though it might seem like forever. Look around, for even in the darkest night, things are gonna be alright. We'll get through this together, just look around. Sometimes it can be hard to see, life is full of possibilities, so look around. Each new day is such a gift, embrace it and the life you live, and look around. Outstretched arms and many helping hands. Don't give up on all your dreams and all your plans. Look around, kindness, love is ours to share. We can see it everywhere, though it might seem like forever. Look around, for even in the darkest night, things are gonna be alright. We'll get through this together, Just look around. Don't lose faith. Keep hope alive. 'Cause together we'll get to the other side. When you feel weak, I'll be strong and remind you that you're never alone. Look around, kindness, love is ours to share. We can see it everywhere. Though it might seem like forever, look around, for even in our darkest night, things are gonna be alright. We'll get through this together. Just look around. Look around. Just look around.
I invite you into a time of meditation and prayer as we go inward, as we welcome the Spirit, as we notice. Let yourself feel held, your feet on the floor, the place where you are seated. And notice your breath, breathing in and out. In and out. O Spirit of life, ever dancing within us, between us and beyond us, we come this morning asking prayers and support from one of our own whose sister and her sister's family are dealing with COVID. This one's sister contracted the virus while being hospitalized for kidney problems. She now has pneumonia. Meanwhile, her family members have been exposed to the COVID and are awaiting test results while isolating in their homes. Oh, Spirit, we ask that you be with this precious family, with this sister who is our own. We know how sisters love and care for one another. Oh, Spirit, our hearts are with, and let them ever more open to all whose lives have been struck by this pandemic. All in isolation, awaiting results. All who cannot be with a beloved family member who is ill. And all who are struggling with this uncertain, unpredictable, and very frightening disease that can wreak havoc. O Spirit, we ask for courage and strength. We ask for support for all of the medical staff dealing with this disease. We know that we are in this together, and we commit each of ourselves to doing what we can to limit this disease and to support those who find themselves facing its horrors and its costs. May we be, all of us, sisters and brothers to one another in this time. We have another among us who prays today for a humble heart, for a humble heart. This one says, may I see, truly see the beauty of this world. And may I receive guidance as I enter into and embrace this next stage of life. We ask for all of us that humble heart, that ability to see, to notice, to name the beauty around us, even in these uncertain times. We are in a very uncertain stage of history, and we are, each of us, in our own stages of life. May we be where we are. May we humbly notice, find compassion within ourselves, for ourselves and for others, and do what we can. All this we pray in the spirit of oneness that claims us all. Namaste, blessed be, and amen.
Look around, kindness, love is ours to share. We can see it everywhere. Though it might seem like forever, look around, for even in our darkest night, things are gonna be alright. We'll get through this together. Just look around. Look around. Just look around.
Beautiful music. You know, yesterday or the day before, I can't remember when, I saw Abby Moore posting some pictures on our congregation's ORUUC Facebook group of all of the different things that are happening on Friday and Saturday, and it inspired me to try myself to think of all of them and to just sort of reflect and celebrate on them. So Friday evening, there was the Stone Soup Meal Ministry that was providing 122 meals for people in the community. The nourishment not only of food, but a reminder that people are not alone. As Bill Anderson was mowing the labyrinth and Nancy Starr was preparing flowers for the Sunday service. Then on Saturday morning early, the line dance group came and filled up the parking lot, busting all their line dance moves out there, while the theater group a little bit later was meeting in the pavilion yesterday morning. The monthly leaders group was checking in online, and volunteers were going out through the community as part of Ecumenical Storehouse to gather furniture. This was all yesterday morning. Also yesterday morning, Christine Rader and Susan Rosenbaum were passing out faith formation packets to families, and Sarah Whelan Hyde was coordinating distribution of St. Andrew's vegetable boxes for people's various food ministries. All kinds of things continue to move through our community, through our congregation, even and sometimes especially when we're not gathering as one in a building. As the song said, as you heard Dave Dunkirk just sing, we'll get through this together with outstretched arms and many helping hands. we are already doing that in so many ways. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the ways that you are part of continuing this this rolling, rollicking, roaring love of ORUUC. And right now, there's another opportunity, an invitation, which is the offering. This month's Split the Plate recipient, as you all heard earlier from Debbie, is the Blossom Child Care Center, serving so many families for whom this is make or break service. As we hear offertory, please give as you are able. Thank you.
My blood doth rise in the roots of yon oak, her sap doth run in my veins, boundless my soul like the open sky, where the stars forever have lain, where the stars, where the stars forever have lain. My hands hold the weavings of time without end, my sight as deep as the sea. Beating my heart sounds the measures of old, that of love's eternity. And my love, that of love, that of love's eternity. I feel the tides as they answer the moon, rushing on a far distant sand. Winging my song is the wind of my breast, and my love blows over the land. And my love, and my love, and my love blows over the land. My foot carries days of the old into new. Our dreaming shows us the way. Wondrous our faith settles deep in the earth, rising green to bring a new day. Rising green, rising green, rising green to bring a new day.
Sometime 3 weeks from now, 6 weeks from now, at some time not too very long from now, there will be a child who is able to receive comfort and care and security as their parents go off to work, maybe on a third shift, a late night, or maybe some early morning at the Blossom Center. And that care and that comfort and support and security and those lessons in gardening and in community will be in part because of the gifts that you've just given. So I invite you to give one another a holy high five, even virtually, as we celebrate the abundance that we are part of and are blessed to pass on.
Rooted in love, we covenant, together in peace, to face conflict with compassion, to see strength in diversity, to share laughter and tears, to honor the profound in each of us. With purpose and passion, we care for one another and grow together, rooted in love.
Look to Assyria, once a Lebanon cedar. Beautiful branches, dense shade, towering height. It is top among the clouds. Springs nourished it, and deep waters made it grow tall. Their streams flowed around its base, sending their channels to all the trees in the countryside. So it towered high above every other tree of the field. Its boughs grew larger and its branches extended out, nourished by an abundance of water. All the birds of the air nested in its boughs. Under its branches, wild animals gave birth to their young. All the great nations thrived in its shade. It was majestic in its beauty, with its spreading boughs, its roots reaching deeply into an abundance of water.
Good morning. For the next few weeks, we will be talking about how beautiful the world is and everything and everyone in it. We will be on a search for beauty, seeing what we can find every week to help us find more and more beauty. Many religions around the world see trees as powerful symbols. For instance, the banyan and sacred fig in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. The Egyptian Book of the Dead includes sycamore trees in its description of that place of peaceful final repose. And Germanic and Celtic mythology often place rituals in sacred groves of trees. And Charles Darwin used a tree of life as a metaphor for his theory of evolution. The tree in the Bible reading that we heard today and saw in the video is called the cedar of Lebanon. We heard how the cedar tree was well watered by a spring that ran near it. It always had what it needed to grow. So it grew so tall and its branches so wide that the birds were able to make their homes in its branches, and under the tree, many animals could make their homes and grow their families. Because the tree was taken care of, it could take care of many other things. It could create and protect the beauty of the earth. Now you may recognize the tree that I'm sitting under. This is the giant live oak that we see through the window of the sanctuary. And as I sit under it, and I appreciate its majesty and its strength and feel the comfort of its shade, I'm reminded of our community and our perseverance and our strength and the support that we give one another. Now, this tree has managed many a storm, and so has our community, but it continues to grow and thrive and provide comfort and unity and support. And this is our covenant to each other. This tree is the symbol of the beauty and strength of our community. And my hope for you is that you find beauty and strength this whole week through. May it be so. Now let's form an arch and welcome beauty and love into our hearts.
Beneath our arms we shelter you. You warm our hearts as you pass through. May our love guide you as you go, to help you learn and help you grow.
Beauty occurs in many ways through our rituals. Divina, the word divina, is of Latin and Italian origin, meaning divine or heavenly. It's also a variant of davina from the Hebrew, meaning loved one. In this series, we'll encounter the divine loved one through Lectio Divina, with various readings, through Sermo Divina, the Latin origin of the word sermon, and through Visio Divina, images and music and poetry. All of these are portals into a sensate experience of the holy. Some forms will pique your cognitive mind, but you can also allow some to simply wash over you, infusing your soul with a mysterious sense of wonder.
Hi, this is Liz McGahey, and I'm going to do a reading from the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. When people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see some things as good, other things become bad. Being and non-being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend on each other. Before and after follow each other. Therefore, the master acts without doing anything and teaches without saying anything. Things arise and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. She has but doesn't possess, acts but doesn't expect. When her work is done, she forgets it. That is why it lasts forever.
Last week, over computer, I attended a memorial service for a man who died recently in Kansas at the age of 100. Now, he wasn't a person that I ever met, but for the last couple of years, I've been fascinated by him. After watching a short video interview of him at age 98, in which he spoke clearly and compassionately about his family, about his beliefs, and even about his own impending death. Listening to him in that video interview, I thought, that's who I want to be when I grow up. In his humble way, he was inspiring. At his memorial last week, family members and friends told stories of a life of delight, compassion, of resilience after loss, of curiosity and openness. He had stayed in love with life to the end. He had given his whole self to beauty. And because he had, even death couldn't separate him from beauty, from love, and from the underground river of the holy running throughout all our days. The deep roots of his life will continue to send forth branches and new life for generations to come. Representative John Lewis, honored also this past week, leaves the same kind of legacy. And maybe you know some people like that in your own life as well. Today, we begin a series of services called Beguiled by Beauty, which is also the title of a new book by the theologian Wendy Farley. Wendy, by the way, is also a lifelong friend of ORUUC's own Liz McGahee. That phrase, beguiled by beauty, is drawn from a 6th century philosopher and theologian who wrote under the name Pseudo-Dionysius, and who said that it was God who was beguiled by beauty. Beguiled meaning charmed or enchanted, as in falling in love. Pseudo-Dionysius didn't put forth the machine age view of God as an omnipotent controller. Instead, we might imagine the spirit of an artist at the heart of creation, driven by the urge of love to create beauty, which in turn sparks the urge to create even more beauty. As part of this majestic work, humans are both born of beauty and immersed in life in it. And yet, says Wendy Farley, we find ourselves estranged from our place in creation, from one another, from ourselves, and from the beloved. Estrangement is such a precarious state, sometimes as a way to manage feelings too intense to handle otherwise. Families will practice estrangement. To be in contact or communication with this family member or that one is to be in contact with pain or loss or hurt. So it just seems easier not to be. And yet there's that dim awareness always of that estranged other, like a phantom limb, not there but vibrant in its absence. If you are estranged from someone, maybe you know how that can be. That's how Wendy Farley describes the human condition, estranged from our place in creation and from one another and from ourselves and from the source of life itself. We might manage the sorrow of it by numbing ourselves in any number of ways, but wisdom and maturity, those qualities we seek as we grow, come from turning toward life, come from seeking reunion, come from making our way back to love, even after we've been through what it is we've been through. Some people here may remember LaFay Crone, a church member who died several years ago now. I want to share a story that I think she wouldn't mind if I shared. A couple of years before her own death, LaFay got news that one of her sons had died of a heart attack suddenly. Even though he was by then middle-aged and she was elderly herself, she was, of course, heartbroken. For more than a month, she stayed in her apartment, wanting very little human contact. I do know that church friends here checked in on her and brought her food, as she had done for so many others through her life. But mostly she wanted to absorb and to feel deeply this loss alone. One day, to my surprise, she invited me over for lunch. It was sandwiches and salad and just the two of us at her table. She didn't want to talk much, and I don't remember the words she used, but she let me know that she was practicing at her own pace, deliberately returning to life in the world, practicing being with other people, practicing what it was to go on after such loss. At that point in her life, she had known other losses, and I don't think I brought any special expertise to that table. In fact, it was clear that she wasn't in the market for counsel or consolation. So quietly, I understood that my role was only to bear witness with love, to not turn away from her suffering, nor her deep well of strength, to simply love this person who was finding her own difficult way back to life. LaFay knew, in a way perhaps far deeper than I could, that it's a dangerous thing to fall in love with this life, and yet that was her intention. I count it as one of the heroic things that I have seen, that effort through heartbreak to continue to live with eyes and heart open. From what I can tell, that's the pathway to wisdom. There is no way around it. There is only through it. Especially in this anxious, angry, and unsettled time, the world needs the steady, unflappable strength of those who've grown wise, who've practiced radical compassion enough to restore loving relations with themselves, with others, and with life eternal. I think of those people as the tall trees among us, those whose deep roots allow far-reaching branches of generous and clear perspective. Earlier this week, I called up Dick Roop, a church member at ORUUC and also a longtime yoga teacher, to ask him about the tree pose, a one-legged standing pose meant to strengthen balance. One thing he told me is that before a person can stand on one leg with that strength and balance, they've got to learn to stand that way on two legs. Again, what we seek doesn't happen at once. But he also said that one's inward balance depends in part on where and how one looks. Spiritual practice is never in isolation, but always in relationship to the world around us. The fruits of spiritual practice are also not private, but also in relationship to the world. It's not about turning inward and cutting off, but developing what we need to stay in relation, beginning with the recognition of beauty. We hear in that reading from Ezekiel earlier of the tall cedar of Lebanon, which has been nourished by water and has grown tall enough to provide nesting branches for birds and shade for the nations. In other words, as it was nourished, now it nourishes others. Ever in relationship, the tree has taken its place in creation. There is no estrangement, and beauty moves through it. What if your life was like that, a tall tree drawing nourishment from life and offering refuge to others as a channel of beauty? What if after loss, you continued to tenaciously restore relations with life? What if at your memorial service, whenever that day comes, the stories and lessons of your life continued to nourish those who came after? What if the estrangement of your life, however you sense it, could be healed? It's not a question of compassion or contemplation, one or the other, inward or outward, apart from each other. To become that tall tree through our lives, reconciled to beauty, is to practice compassion by recognizing the beauty within everything and knowing the risks to allow ourselves to find our way back to love. So may it be.
This 6-week worship series, Beguiled by Beauty, invites us to build times of contemplation into our daily lives. Times that we open to the holy in deeper ways and thereby train our spirits for compassion in all things. So each week in this series, the service will conclude with a ritual action to undertake sometime during the week ahead. So here's this week's ritual action. It's called meditative watering. And here's what you do. You set a reminder to pour yourself a glass of water. So then you do that, you pour the glass, you drink it, and then you refill that same glass and you water some other living thing. Offer the glass of water to another person, to a plant, to a tree, or to some other fellow creature. And as you drink the water and then offer the water, allow your mind to slow down. Feel your heart open. Let your eyes drink in your surroundings. And here's a note you might want to put nearby you. Water is life. Water your life so that you can water other life for the beauty of the earth. I'll say that one more time. Water is life. Water your life so you can water other life for the beauty of the earth. May it be so.
When I asked the choir for what hymns they thought were beautiful, this is the first one that came to mind. Would you join me in singing Blue Boat Home?
Never harbored or port have I known.
As we go from this hour, may we be fools for love and pilgrims for justice. And until we meet again, may we walk, roll, and move in beloved community. Go in peace.
Source of all truth.